Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called The Breath at 3:17. Every night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., Daniel Mercer woke up gasping. Not from nightmares. Not from noise. From breath. But it was never his own. The first time it happened, Daniel thought he was dreaming. He lived alone in a small, aging apartment on the edge of Ashford City. The kind of place where the pipes groaned like they were talking to each other and the hallway lights flickered like blinking eyes. He had fallen asleep on his couch around midnight. Normal night, nothing unusual. Then, 3:17 a.m. He woke up instantly, like something had yanked his consciousness back into his body. The room was dark, but not empty. There was breathing. Right beside him. Slow, wet, patient. In. Out. But it wasn't coming from his mouth. Daniel froze. His chest wasn't moving right. It was moving out of sync. Like something inside him was breathing 1 second behind him. He sat up so fast he nearly fell off the couch. The breathing stopped. Silence returned. Daniel checked everything, windows locked, door bolted, no one in the apartment. He told himself it was sleep paralysis. Stress. Exhaustion. But then the second night came. 3:17 a.m. Again. This time he didn't wake naturally. He was pulled awake. Like something inside the room had remembered him. The breathing was louder now. Closer. Not beside him anymore. Inside the room. But not located anywhere. Just present. All around. Daniel sat up slowly. "Hello," he whispered. The breathing stopped. Then, after a long pause, it imitated him. A breath came from the darkness. But it inhaled when he exhaled. Wrong. Delayed. Mocking. Daniel turned on every light in his apartment. Nothing. No shadows moving. No intruder. No explanation. But as he stood there sweating in the kitchen, he noticed something on the mirror above the sink. A fog had formed on the glass. Like someone had just exhaled on it. And written in the condensation were two numbers. 3:17. The third night, Daniel didn't sleep. He stayed awake with all the lights on, watching the clock like it was a weapon. At 3:16 a.m., everything in the apartment went silent. Even the refrigerator stopped humming. Even the pipes stopped groaning. Like the entire building was holding its breath. 3:17 a.m. The air changed. Not temperature. Pressure. Daniel felt it press into his lungs, forcing him to inhale deeper than he wanted to. And then, the breathing returned. But this time, it wasn't beside him. It was coming from his own mouth. Even though his lips weren't moving. He grabbed his throat in panic. "Stop," he tried to say. But something else spoke through his breath. A voice hidden inside the inhale. Calm, familiar. "I finally woke up on time," it said. Daniel stumbled backward. "No, get out of me." The breathing inside him laughed. Not out loud. Inside his lungs. Like his body was no longer private. The mirror in the hallway flickered. And Daniel saw something standing behind him in the reflection. A version of himself. Same face. Same clothes. But smiling too widely. Breathing when Daniel wasn't. On the fourth night, Daniel went to the hospital. They ran scans, blood tests, brain imaging. Everything came back normal. Dr. Evelyn Shaw, a sleep specialist, told him gently, "It sounds like a parasomnia triggered by stress. Very common." Daniel wanted to believe her. But then 3:17 a.m. hit again. Even inside the hospital room. Even with nurses outside. The breathing came back. And this time, it synchronized with every monitor in the room. Beep. Inhale. Beep. Exhale. The machines started matching it. Like they were learning. Dr. Shaw rushed in, but Daniel could tell by her face that she didn't hear what he heard. At least not fully. That night, she prescribed medication. Daniel didn't take it. Because he finally understood something terrifying. The breathing didn't want to be treated. It wanted to be acknowledged. On the fifth night, Daniel set up a recorder. If something was happening, he needed proof. He taped his phone to the wall, pointed at himself, and forced himself to stay awake. At 3:16 a.m., he whispered, "I'm not afraid of you." 3:17 a.m. arrived like a blade dropping. The breathing returned. But this time, it spoke through the recording. When he played it back later, there was his voice. "I'm not afraid of you." Then, a second voice layered underneath. Not distorted. Not static. Perfectly clear. Daniel's voice. Except it said, "You should be." That night, Daniel stopped sleeping entirely. He realized the truth slowly, like a light turning on in a room you didn't know was already full. The breathing wasn't invading him. It was returning to him. Something he had carried for a long time without knowing. Something that only activated at 3:17 a.m. On the final night, Daniel didn't try to fight it. He waited. At exactly 3:16 a.m., he sat in the center of his apartment and closed his eyes. "I know you're here," he said softly. 3:17 a.m. arrived. The breathing filled the room instantly. But this time, it didn't feel separate. It felt like alignment. Two rhythms becoming one. Inhale. Exhale. Daniel's voice whispered, not from outside him, but from within every breath. "Thank you for finally waking me up." The lights in the apartment dimmed. The walls seemed to loosen, like the building itself had been holding tension for years. And Daniel's body leaned forward slightly. As if something inside him had just stood up for the first time. The next morning, Daniel Mercer was found sitting perfectly still on his couch. Eyes open. Alive. But breathing in a pattern that didn't match human rhythm. In. Pause. Out. Pause. And in the mirror above the sink, someone had written a new time in condensation. 3:17 a.m. But underneath it, faintly, was something else appearing for the first time. A second set of numbers forming beside it. 3:18 a.m.